So let's talk about cheating, infidelity, third party situations. I'm just going to rant and ramble and pick up what's necessary, put down what's not necessary, and respectfully, you may hear some things that offend you, especially if you feel like you're the victim in this situation. So the first thing I want to say is it took me being friends with other women before, during, and after my current evolution into who I am today. And it's still going to happen. That's going to mirror to me ways I fucked up relationships romantically, socially, personally, and professionally. I'm going to speak from this perspective because I am a woman. I stand on that. And I mean no harm because this doesn't reflect every woman. It reflects the specific women who do this. There may be men who apply to this too, but I'm talking about observing women from a heteronormative standpoint in general as a woman in a heteronormative standpoint. So I think that some people cheat because they can. They cheat because it's normal. They cheat because they want to. It's just that simple for them. If this is what you are dealing with, then there is no level of perfection you could have ever had to keep that person from cheating on you. I like really want you to get that. Like there was nothing you could have done, even if they say that. Like if that's just their motif, you are not going to fix that. Like you are not. The only person who can fix that is the person who is doing what they want to do, which is the point. People are going to do what they want to do. And if your feelings get hurt because somebody's doing what they want to do, clock that for yourself because you're not wrong for being hurt. You might have every reason to be hurt. But in order to prevent yourself from getting hurt again or feeling this much pain again, you literally have to feel your feelings while also seeing things for what they are. Now, there are people who mean to do well, who don't want to cheat, but who end up cheating. They may not know why they cheat. They may tell you they don't know and know exactly why they cheat. This is where it all gets complicated, and this is where your feelings might get hurt. Um, People do what they want. If there's no sexual polarity and they happen to come across it one day, and instead of, pursuing it with you, they pursue it with somebody else, they made that decision. Is it your fault that the polarity changed? No, may not be. Or it may be. Like I don't know your situation personally, but what I do know is that when it comes to a long-term relationship, a marriage specifically. And I know there's a whole lot of, oh, marriage doesn't mean anything. It don't mean anything when you marry the wrong motherfucker is the fucking truth of the situation. Marriage is a business. Marriage is a social structure. Marriage is a level of ownership and it goes both ways, even though historically it was about the transfer of ownership of a daughter to a husband because we didn't have resources as women in general. We're not even going to touch the other stuff because we keep them with it. So when you're trying to make a relationship work long term, you have to kind of have some balance when it comes to the romanticism. As a single person, the idea of a romantic relationship sounds beautiful, but as an adult who gets busier and busier every year, I just don't have the energy myself for romance to demand it out of somebody else. So I allow myself to be pleasantly surprised, but I'm not going to read more into anything than I need to. For me, at this point in life, life is about finding somebody I can live my day to day with. And it sounds like dead survival, like settling or whatever, but it's not. If you have somebody constantly giving you butterflies and distractions and distracting chemistry to the point where you can't focus because your head's in the clouds, you're going to start to lose money, focus, and stability. I'm not saying you don't get to have a hot, passionate, romantic situation. I'm just saying that you have to be grounded in where you are first and what your capacity is. And then you have to understand that life has ups and downs, and those things affect the capacity of your partner. Hopefully, you have a partner that you really can work with. But if you don't, that partner is going to give you the worst of them intentionally or unintentionally. And that may include cheating on you because it's easier for them to deal with this false new reality of who they are someplace else with somebody who does not know the truth about them. Sometimes you didn't do anything. You are just simply going through the drama with them, and they don't want to be reminded of what they're going through, so they're going to turn elsewhere. I'm not a fan of a lot of just random ass TV shows and stuff, but I'm pretty sure there are lots of shows like Power, uh, Empire, and other like shows that show you the complex side of relationships. Hell, like even I'm not like a fan of how gritty it is, but even the whole In the Black with the Tyler Perry show with the family that's all wealthy but still is into human trafficking stuff. Life is complex and you are going to end up in situations that you didn't ask to be in. And this may include somebody cheating on you. This may include infidelity. Hell, you might be the person that did cheat. You might not know why you cheated. The truth is that paying attention to yourself is going to give you that answer. Paying attention to the person you're dealing with is going to show you what they're made of. If you're trying to get past infidelity because of a long-term commitment, such as marriage or raising children, you have to take space to do whatever it is you need to do for yourself. Now, for a lot of people, that might mean cheat back. I'm not going to tell you not to do it. You're going to do what you feel is necessary. All I'm going to say is choose wisely because if somebody cheated on you, they made their bed, they lie in it. But once you start cheating on somebody, you're basically evening the playing field, but at the end of the day, it's just two people breaking trust, breaking a foundation, and that's not good for the business long term. People are going to do what they want when they want to do it. But when it comes to understanding the reasons they do it, again, let's go back to, are they the type that feel entitled to cheat and like it's normal and there's nothing wrong with it? Or was there a breakdown in the relationship somewhere? And that's where you become responsible for resolving the situation. Because if there was a breakdown in the situation, that's both people, even if your part is smaller than theirs. Even if you played no part in what they were doing and found out years later, what is your energy on these days? Are you asking for more in life and bigger in life, and this person's behavior is now no longer acceptable after sliding under the surface for so long? Because sometimes that happens. Sometimes you ask for more, and more comes in the form of you getting rid of what was in the way the whole time, even if you really enjoyed yourself and thought that that was going to last forever. Um, are you hard to communicate with? This is where I've seen women fuck up. I have so many female friends that'll be with the same man, unmarried and under their roof for 5 to 10 years. And they'll try to give me advice when I haven't lived under any man's roof besides my father's or my ex-husband. My father, ex-husband. All of those other years, I lived alone and I paid my own damn bills. So to see how much it costs to pay bills for me and to look at how much other people are putting up with when they are not even paying that much in rent and bills by themselves. Maybe it's shady, but it sounds like motherfuckers need to manage their finances better. Or maybe I got a lot to learn because I don't see any amount of money being saved worth living with somebody that there is no truly established contract with. But that's me. That's my personal opinion. And that's only because that structure works for me. And I have to accept that bias. But you're grown if you're over 18, over 21, over 25, over 40. You are old enough to say, no, I'm not dealing with that. No, I'm not living with that. No, I can't fuck with that. I'm ranting and rambling, but that's why I said stay with me on all of this, because now let me go back to the whole point. The women that were with these men did not understand what they had when they had it, because men are not out here giving out places to stay. And contrary to popular belief, unless they have nothing to lose, they're not giving out babies either. But I had a friend who the man asked her, can you just, fix your hair a little bit before you come downstairs? She cursed him all the way out and said, I don't give a damn. Da 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 da. Do this, do that. Da. And let me be real. Later on, when this person started doing what they wanted to do and getting caught doing what they wanted to do, it's like, well, what do you expect? Because you keep going off on them and there's no nice way for them to ask you anything. I had a friend who lived with a provider, but during the pandemic, people started playing on the money. He fell behind in rent, not rent, he had a mortgage. He fell behind supposedly. He asked her for a little bit of help, and after years of living with him and stacking money, he was like, no, I'm not helping you do shit. Y'all have a family together, like you share two children with this person. You know that they're struggling. You're living under their roof. But you want to hold on to the whole I ain't doing shit to the point where you don't see the resentment clocking in and you don't care because you did this and you, okay, at some point, when are we going to be responsible for the fact that we kind of knew how somebody was after the first, second, or third year and kept going? Because I literally lose patience once it's 5 years plus and you don't see the blessing you have. I had another friend with somebody for close to a decade. This person started doing some stuff. Not cheating, but like, this nasty personality when they're stressed out and drinking, stuff like that. And, you know, she tried to put up with it and deal with it and be understanding. And he started saying some stuff. And long story short, she started thinking about exploring her options. She did not. But he found out that she tried, and that was enough to shatter the trust because for him, like, yeah, he was a nasty character when he was upset and depressed. But a woman was not what he used to assuage himself. Do they need to be a couple? That's none of my business. I don't know. I don't know. I know that when you're with somebody for close to a decade, you definitely got to care about them. And in this case, you know, She knows what made her open up her mind to possibly moving around. He knows, but in his mind, he's still the victim because at least he didn't do that. Here's the problem. When everybody's stuck being right and everybody's stuck trying to be the victim, nobody's going to get an apology. Nobody's going to be told sorry. Nobody's going to move forward. There is no trust being healed or reestablished. There is no forgiveness and reconciliation taking place. And you are creating more resentment and contempt for the future that you might as well end the relationship for. If you can't get past what somebody's done to you, leave. If you're married or it's not that easy or then you're gonna have to shut the fuck up and get past it respectfully. Because you complaining about what this person does and what this person did while refusing to get up and move away from it shows that you'd rather put up with it than go through the hardship, the potential hardship, because it might not even be hard at all, but go through the challenge and the experience of moving on without them. They were not considering you when they made the decisions they made, and if they were, it didn't stop them from doing what they did. But when somebody changes up on you, you're going to either accept it or you're going to accept it and complain to the people around you who don't want to hear it because you accept it, or you're going to change your circumstances and your reactions so you can move around accordingly. But you cannot sit here and say, oh, he cheated, that's it, that's over. If somebody started off treating you good and they were not trying to cheat, and then they just start cheating, especially if you have a habit of ignoring people when they talk to you and try to tell you what's up, pay attention to that. Another thing is, maybe they didn't cheat, but they ghosted you, abandoned you, just dropped off the face of the earth and stopped fucking with you. Somebody could be fucking with you for over a year, and you could be doing small things that let them know, like, yeah, I'm not the one for you, or I have no respect for you, or I don't give a shit. Like, you could be a little bit caustic and not know it, or you could be so full of yourself and your main character syndrome that somebody coming to you with a problem registers as, what do you want? I'm busy right now. I worked for a woman I loved dearly for a year. This woman can talk you into circles about neurodivergence, colonization, queer folk, color, everything in their mama. But when it came time to get work done, she just expected people to read her minds with no scripts. Then you would do it and it would still be a problem. But if you asked her for immediate clarity, she just couldn't respond. After about a year of that and a lot of boundary encroachment, I had one final conversation with her. I told her I need my boundaries respected because there's a lot of overlap and both are eating at what I've got going on. And I can't be contacted during these hours. And every time I contact you, you tell me to talk to this person, so only this person can talk to me. And instead of hearing anything I had to say, she said, let's meet next week and see if that works, how that works for my needs. I quit so fast because you are again so full of hierarchy and hearing what you have to say and having to establish order and dominance that you don't understand that I'm trying to meet you more than halfway and you're too busy trying to be controlling. And you're controlling with a scarcity mindset. A woman who is controlling with a scarcity mindset literally manifests getting ghosted and cheated on because you're so busy trying to squeeze the blood out of the turnip that you have And the turnip could be saying, I need a few more days to grow. I need some vitamins. I need this. I need that. And you're mad the turnip is tiny. And the metaphor of the turnip is horrible, but just rock with me. The turnip is tiny and you're mad. It's just got a little bit of juice, but look at how little you poured into nurturing that turnip. I used to have a horrible habit of blindsiding a conversation and taking it over, thinking I knew where the person was going. I destroyed a relationship. The relationship didn't need to happen, but I destroyed it faster by not realizing that until one day I was told that. I've had a few situations where I'll deal with somebody, and depending on where their capacity is, they cannot take the words coming out of my mouth. So after a while, it's just, let me just overrun you and tell you you talk too much. In my solitude, I've learned I don't really have to talk to nobody. And most of those people didn't want to talk about shit with me anyway. They just wanted to see what I was on and what I was available for and what they could absorb being around me. Friends, lovers, people. So I've learned that a lot of fixing and healing your relationships is observation. And it hurts. It hurts to look at the past. It hurts to look at the things you may have done. It hurts to look at the things that have happened to you. But the so-called shadow work and looking at what happened and doing the magical work to clear, if that's possible, that can help. But at the end of the day, infidelity is going to have one or two causes. One, they fucking felt like it and there's nothing you can do about it. Or two, there was something that could have been done, but the chasm was overlooked until it was too late. And unfortunately, if you're in a long-term marriage or relationship, or you're doing it for the kids, or it's not that simple, I can't afford to leave this person, you're going to have to figure out how to be at peace and energize the frequency of the situation so that you can have something better than you did before. Because the marriage you thought you had or the relationship you thought you had never existed. It no longer existed. And you're going to have to cry or feel grief about that illusion. But you can always have a life that's 10 times better than what you had before. It's happened to me over and over. It happened to me when my marriage ended. It happened to me when I gave up in Texas and moved back home to the East Coast. It's happened to me when I was at a job that I thought I was doing great at and suddenly got laid off. It happens, but you got to be able to adjust, absorb, move around, know why things happen, take responsibility for how things happen. And, like I said, it sounds rude as fuck, but some of your friends that want to show you exactly how they're single, and you're going to see things that other people do, including your siblings. I watch my siblings do shit all the time, and I'm like, these motherfuckers don't even understand that's why you can't keep nobody. And I see it in myself, and I work on it, like, you know what I'm saying? You know? And here's the thing, the truth is not about being perfect. Like, there's somebody for everybody. But when you're doing things that keep people away, you can't do things that keep people away and then wonder why nobody's coming. You can't do things that block people from merging with you truly and then wonder why they're not merging. You cannot give your heart to somebody who has not earned it and then wonder why they're not respecting and valuing it. No matter what I say, somebody's always going to have an exception to the rule. At the end of the day, there is a nugget of something that you can take from the infidelity to learn from and to move from and to shift from, especially if you were the one that was cheated on. Nah, you probably don't deserve the shit. But what if you did? What if you did? What would that look like? I don't fucking know. I don't really think anybody really, 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 really deserves to get cheated on unless they're like dogging you out first for real. But even then, you could just drop that motherfucker where they are and just keep it moving. Like, yeah, If you're married, if you're legally entrapped, if you're legally entwined with somebody, I would behoove you to understand that something like infidelity motherfucking sucks and you do not have to put up with it. The Bible allows you to leave. But at the same time, if you got something bigger than that going on, especially if there's money involved and you're one of those types, you need to move like you got money. And people with money ain't really doing all of that. They just keep their shit clandestine. They have their arrangements. They keep it moving. But say you're not a sexual person, and I'll just end it on this because I feel like I've ranted long enough in like a bunch of mini circles. Say you're not a sexual person. Say there are certain sex acts you're not willing to do. Say these are sex acts that these people that this person wants, and this person is highly sexual, and outside of that, y'all work. You might have to come to terms with that. I'm not saying that you don't deserve fidelity, but at the same time, does that person not deserve satisfaction? And people are so quick to say, oh, it's just sex. No, the fuck it ain't. There's a lot that get processed through sex. There's a lot that can get worked out through sex. There's a lot if you're that kind of person. But you have to be real with who you are and who they are and where y'all limits and boundaries are. Because if you weren't real on that and you felt like, well, I could change this person, or that person felt like they could change you, this is how y'all are fucking around and finding out.